Welcome back to the Mindful Hunter podcast. I'm your host, as always, Jay Nichol, and I'm actually on a podcast this evening with my future hunting partner, Vance from Alberta. So thank you for making the time, getting the kids to bed, and hopping on the podcast, man.
Gladly to do it, man.
So for people listening, me and Vance are going to do an early season goat hunt in British Columbia, like a pretty classic August goat hunt, like up in the alpine, above tree level. We're hiking in. I won't get into too much detail about where we're going or what we're doing, but yeah, real classic backpack hunt. I think we might have, do we have 12 days in total, including driving? Something like that.
So meeting, yeah, what is it? Evening-ish, afternoon of the
On the
30th.
30th.
So we got, 31st, and then pretty much out 11th, 12th kind of thing, depending on timelines. Yeah. Yeah.
So
at least 12. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Probably pack 11 days worth of food or something like that. So it's a rifle hunt. It's goat. We've both got tags. I'm trying to think about what other. The whole point of this podcast, anyways, is to go through the gear list. So we're going to walk through our gear list in the categories, and then we're going to do. I opened up a Q&A on Instagram. Is there any other elements of the hunt that you think are important to go over? Like, it's a hike in, it's a backpack hunt, it's early season. I've never even really looked. Have you looked at what elevation? This is the funny thing. People in BC, people always think you're going to be at high elevations. And the funny thing is, most of the hunting in BC is not actually that high.
Yeah, compared to the States, yeah.
Yeah, like I've been over 10,000 in New Mexico, in Wyoming, in Colorado. I've never been that high in BC.
No.
Like I think
I want to say something higher. I was going to say 65, maybe. That's double check, but yeah.
I think it's around that. I'm going to pop open Onyx, and there might be a way for me to just check real quick here. But that's about the only other. 5,200, kind of up near the top.
Okay.
So probably the tallest stuff we're in is 6,000, maybe. Okay. 6,500. Oh yeah, here's a point, 6,500, right on the summit where I.
Yeah, I figured. Yeah.
And then we probably got a couple thousand feet elevation to gain in total on the way in. Maybe I won't talk too much about how we're getting in, just so that we don't go blowing out spots or anything like that. But hiking in off of a highway, you utilize some logging roads, and then we can talk a little bit about, I guess, our philosophy was trying to take the slow and steady route in. There's probably a shorter line to the top, but I think that's one of the things that impresses me most about the location we've chosen is it's a bit of a longer hike in, but it looks pretty reasonable. Like we're not going straight up cliffs. We don't got to cut through a lot of like super veggie or super thick timber. Should be walking ridge lines for the most part, and then break in tree cover pretty soon after we start hiking, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And I guess the last part I will mention it because this is going to play into some of our gear decisions. So is this a base camp style hunt? Is it spike camp? Is it bivvy hunting? The answer is kind of all of the above. I kind of thought the best way to describe this hunt is like a hub and spoke style hunt. Like we have one central location where we feel very confident there's going to be water, very confident there's going to be flat spots. And there's basically a series of ridges coming out of this central hub. Now, whether we get in there on day one, leave camp set up the whole time and just day hunt those ridges, or whether we end up spike camping 2 or 3 days down each ridge, or even leaving a main camp set up and just, bringing our quilts in a tarp just in case. I don't really know, but that's one of the things that's
Yeah.
gone into our gear planning is being prepared for those different types of eventualities.
Yeah. And I think we don't want to get too hung up on one, like we said, basically till we get in there and
Yeah.
feel it out, right? Yeah.
Yeah, we feel confident we should be able to find goats, but we don't really have any way as of yet of even really narrowing in on which of the ridges or what are the areas. Like
Yeah.
it's one of those areas where like it all looks so good. It's like I don't really know.
I I've had that too. Yeah. I keep looking at it, trying to pick an A pick, and I just can't really narrow it down. Just looking at maps and topos and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's going to be even interesting because even on the way in, there's a lot of good glassing opportunities.
Yeah.
I think there's also the opportunity here to get distracted because you can see up like multiple ridge lines away, and they're like really far away, and so
Yeah.
I think that could be a danger as well. Is that we could see something on a complete other system, and it kind of distract us. So I think staying kind of focused until we get into the area we're
Yeah.
going into is probably going to serve us well as well.
Yeah. Probably at least a day in there just originally trying to figure out kind of where we're wanting to go, I'm thinking.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, well, let's start off with the basics. So, backpack. So, for my backpack, and I am bringing a rain cover this year. I'll go over my rationale, but I'm gonna be using the XO K4 7200, and then I have a Mountain Equipment Co-op Sil Nylon 100 liter rain cover, and I traditionally have not used a rain cover. I tend to put my vulnerable gear inside individual dry bags. Like I'll have my clothes in a dry bag, my electronics in a dry bag. And then if it
Yeah.
rains, my stuff just gets wet and I'm like, I don't really care. But on last year's sheep hunt, it like
Yeah.
rained like torrential downpour. And I think I was carrying 5 or 6 extra pounds just of waterlogged backpack.
Oh, yeah.
Also,
Yeah.
my
I'll add
shelter
up.
wasn't really big enough to put the whole backpack in, and I think more than anything, I'm just bringing the rain cover so I can cover my pack up and just leave it outside my tent at night, and then not worry about the condensation and the dew, making my shoulder straps and everything, soaking wet for the next day. And I think it weighs like 4 ounces or something. So yeah, are you doing a K3? All right, we will dive back into this. Slight interruption while Vance gets himself a little bit better acquainted. Sorry, a little bit better Wi-Fi, so he had to switch rooms. I realized while you were switching rooms, I've been a rude host, and I didn't even like take a moment to like allow you to introduce yourself. So why don't you give everybody like a brief introduction, kind of where you're from, what your hunting background is, what you're kind of, most passionate about these days, and any like hunting related accomplishments that you
Yeah.
feel like Vance is like kills shit like the plague. So I know he's gonna get on here and be humble, but like he's something to watch in the fall because like every 3 weeks there's something else popping up on the feed. So don't let him fool you if he comes off as a bit humble. He's one of these like Alberta guys who doesn't have a big social media following, doesn't really put a lot of effort in that stuff, but just absolute killer. So yeah, please give it a little bit of a brief intro.
Awesome. Yeah. Vance Johnson from Alberta here. Basically, no memories of pre-hunting since I was born. I was out hunting. Dad raised me like my I'd basically work instead of getting, money. I'd just ask for bullets doing yard work or whatever, just getting packs of 22 shells. And that was about all. I've really never had any other hobbies aside from hunting. Mainly like from a young age hunting with dad, it was lots of ag. So whitetail, mule deer off the rivers and stuff in the ag, and moose. Kind of hit once I hit an adult, I started getting more into like going in the bush, going after bears, going after elk, doing all that. Uh, bows always been like when I was a kid, 22, building my own bows, trying to shoot shit with it, and pretty much just always trying to get after it somehow. And big archery elk is my biggest passion. Kind of similar story to you. Took me, it was 5 years to kill one, but it's either 6 or 7 in a row now.
Okay.
Since I killed my first one, I've been consecutive. Couple cows in there, not always bulls. With the archery, we can do either or here.
Yeah.
But
well, yeah, and we were talking before we hit record. Vance has quite a large family at home, so whether or not it has antlers, it still feeds the horde.
Well, the elk last year, I was texting and I actually texting the wife. I went in, heard some cows mewing, kind of worked in. They came feeding out. It was early-ish. What was it? Second week October. I figured there'd be a bull. No bull. Texting the wife. She's, I don't care, whatever you want to do. And all I can think is a couple days before, the one that's almost 7's giving me a hard time. Like, man, you're going out all the time. Where's the damn elk? Why aren't you bringing an elk back? So I thought, fuck, cow tastes just as good as a bull. So
probably better, to be honest with you.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, I'm the same way with the archery elk, man. And what else? You've got a sheep, don't you?
No, not yet.
Oh,
I've gone on a couple.
Why did I think you had a
sheep?
You've done a couple, though.
Yeah. Done a couple.
What's your sheep tag situation where you're in Alberta? Can you get them over the counter? Are they draw only?
Yeah, we're similar to you, where over the counter same things like a $60 tag.
Yep.
I think just range wise, we just don't have as much land.
Yeah.
Because a lot of it's cut off with Jasper and then with Banff. So you kind of got the borders north, borders south. There's some beside it, but lots of it's not very accessible. Don't
you have kind of a famous sheep bow zone in Alberta?
We do, yeah. Down kind of towards Calgary.
Okay.
That one is, there's a couple late season draws, so there are some draws.
Okay.
And that one is one, so you can actually draw, and it's bow to the end of November.
Okay.
And that's the more money hunt, because when you hit November, they're rut and they come down a lot easier. And with the snow, it's just a lot easier to hunt them. Some of the couple of hunts we did late October, so kind of in that, trying to hit that same transition, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm switching up some of my elk strategy. This is one of the reasons I wanted to do goat with you this year. Like, I'm kind of over chasing the opener for sheep. I think it's one of these overrated things. Everybody's chasing them, so there's more pressure. It's not really an advantageous time of year if you think about sheep behavior. No. Like, you're not catching them. No,
because they're not they're not with ewes typically at that point.
They're kind of doing their own thing.
And,
yeah. So I'm kind of,
it's like early elk, right? You're not gonna
100%
bugle in a bull early, whereas you aren't gonna find a ram with a bunch of ewes yet.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm starting to target those later seasons. Also, if I've got any type of competitive advantage as a hunter, it's my ability to kind of make it in rough terrain and rough weather. And I think that late October, we've still got some over-the-counter opportunities late October. And I think that scares a lot of people. Scares not the right word, and rightfully so. There's just a lot of
intimidation.
Yeah, there's a lot fewer people who want to be in the mountains, especially those type of mountains. Late October, and I think I would have better success in that later season. So that's what I'm going to start moving my attention towards.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. Well, now I feel a little bit better. Vance has introduced himself. I'll put your notes, your link to your social media in the show notes. And then we've known each other for a few years now. Like, it was before mine. It was well before Mine for Reviews. I don't even remember when we started chatting online.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah. So I'm excited we can make this happen, because that was one of my goals this year. Well, it was supposed to be one of my goals last year, was like more partner hunts, more opportunity to learn from other people. Also, I think there's just being on a hunt with somebody too. Like, I've always thought the solo thing was like the more badass. you figure out more about yourself as a man. But
Yeah.
I almost think part of me is like, it's easier for me to hunt solo because I don't have to talk to anybody.
Yeah.
I don't have to compromise. I don't got to come up with a joint game plan. And so I think there's a lot for me to benefit of going out with somebody. And having known you
Yeah.
for a few years and seeing the way you hunt, I was just like, there was zero concern that like, because it's happened to me, man. The last few times I've tried to hunt
Oh
with
yeah.
people, they kind of flake out, and it's like,
Yeah.
oh man, with all the investment and the time and the energy that you put into booking these things, and to have somebody only make it halfway through, it's really
Yeah.
disappointing. So I'm stoked because I think
Yeah.
I'm
Actually,
feeling
I
very
look back, it
optimistic.
was, I think, mid-November we started planning this. So you think of that, you're
Yeah.
3/4 of a year of planning into something. Yeah.
Yep. Totally.
I think that's my only goal is don't look like a bitch. Right?
Yeah.
Make sure I show up, hunt the full thing. I'll be
Yeah.
happy.
Yeah.
I mean,
Totally.
a couple goats would be all right too, but
That would be the icing on the cake. Okay, let's dive into the podcast or to the gear.
Perfect.
I had just shared my backpack setup. What are you bringing for a pack?
Yeah, so I'm running K3 still. So I got 6400. Got 2 hip belt pockets I'm running on it, and then like kind of just an Amazon Nalgene holder. Ends up fitting kind of similar how the K4 does, but and then I do on mine. I run the crib panel.
Okay.
I was hemming and hawing on bringing it for the 7 ounces. Man, it makes like, especially I'm thinking we're going to be boning out.
Yeah.
So that just extra rigidity on that pack, just helping that suck it in. And then you sandwich your bag up, I think will be worth the 7 ounces when we're coming out heavy, because that's not even an option at this point. So
yeah, I think you might be onto something there. I very rarely use my load shelf. I tend to put everything in the main chamber pocket and then just use the whole snow collar. But if we are fortunate enough to go in the way we think we're going to go in and come out the way we think we're going to come out, it could be a pretty heavy pack out, and we could definitely be needing to utilize the meat shelf.
Yeah. And then I'm actually running also the same pack cover, that MEC, that 80 liter still one. So
it's quite a find,
the same thing. Yeah.
Because it was hard to find
cheap.
one that
It's
didn't
light
have
as
like a
shit,
giant Kuyu, or something
Yeah.
on it, and still be like decent size and
Yeah, and it weighed
decent
out
material.
like 3.5 ounces. Yeah.
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 It's perfect.
Yeah.
The other thing that stuff like that is good for, people don't think about this much, but lots of times at elevation, getting water is a problem. And I've used items like this to gather water before.
Yeah.
Set it out at night, upside down, put a little rock in the middle, stick it up in like some bushes so it stays open. You can get a liter or two like that overnight, man, if you're having a bit of rain. So there's lots of other uses for that type of stuff too.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to walk through our sleep, like our camp, our shelter setup, because we're actually going to be tag teaming a shelter. This is the first time I've done this. I'm normally not a share a tent guy, but I'm going to get into the shelter that we chose and then why I think this is kind of an exception. So our shelter is going to be in our Gali Abrasaka, which is a 4-man teepee, which you can run with or without an insert. And it comes with a carbon pole, I believe. And the entire setup with the insert is 4 pounds. Now, the reason I'm willing to run a teepee style shelter, I shouldn't say I've never shared a shelter, because I've shared the big teepees before. Yeah. I've never been like a 3-person, like shared a 3-person tent where you're like rubbing elbows with the dude you're hunting with. I just like my own space. But it'd be interesting to hear from you. I feel like a teepee is just different, man. Especially I've seen this 4-person teepee and it's palatial. Like it's huge.
Yeah.
Like with you getting one whole side and me getting one whole side, I feel like it's the best of both worlds, where you're getting the weight savings of saving a shelter without having to deal with the inconvenience with like bumping into another dude while you're trying to sleep all night and walking over him while you're trying to go take a piss and like all the kind of bullshit that's associated with a typical small tent.
Yeah. And I think size wise, we're like, if say you compared it to your one man you took last year, I think we got more area and it's the same weight as packing 2 of them.
Yeah, I think it's significantly
Yeah.
bigger than
Yeah.
that. And we'll have to talk about it. I don't know about, I mean, it's only 2 pounds to bring the insert. I'm
Oh, you're
50-50.
thinking just
I
take the
mean,
outer.
there's no bugs up. I've never run into a serious bug problem up top. And even last year with the Owyhee, there were some bugs, but I left the insert completely open every night.
Yeah.
And it was
Yeah.
like, it comes down close enough to the ground. Like you could see them kind of bouncing around up at the top of the shelter, but it was never an issue. And I also
Yeah.
most people don't like a floorless shelter. I prefer a floorless shelter. Like I don't worry about stuff bumping over and melting the floor or spilling your
Yeah.
Nalgene inside. Like I feel a little bit more I don't know. I like having a floorless shelter. It
Yeah.
doesn't bother me
Yeah.
not having a floor at all. In fact, I think I prefer it.
Yeah.
Okay, so for a sleeping pad, I'm going to bring the Big Agnes Q Core wide long. Now, I may or may not bring a ground sheet. I'll probably bring one and then decide if I need it at the truck because if we don't bring the insert, we will need ground sheets. I do
Yeah.
have a Z-Pax Dyneema like bathtub style ground sheet. But I also wanted to make a note for people. You can also just bring a piece of Tyvek. Like
Yeah.
it weighs next
Yeah.
to nothing. It costs next to nothing. I always tell people just go walk by a home construction. Like they will cut you a six
Yeah.
by 3 foot chunk of Tyvek
Yeah.
without batting an eye. That's like 18 cents
Yeah.
worth of Tyvek.
Yeah.
And then for my sleeping bag is actually a quilt, an Enlightened Equipment. I'm bringing a 50-degree Fahrenheit synthetic quilt, which is an extremely light quilt, but I sleep in my clothes and I have my puffy layers. And it's kind of this new system that I'm trying out where I don't really see the point in having a quilt that takes you to your desired nighttime temps and a puffy system that takes you
Yeah.
to your desired nighttime temps because it's like it's kind of
Kind of
redundant.
doubling up on it. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to bring the Q Core, Big Agnes Q Core pillow because it's the lightest pillow I got. And then I normally stick a couple puffy layers in a dry bag and put that on top just to give it more of like
Oh yeah.
a pillow.
Little lift. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the only other thing to add to this section is I will bring the Z-Pax 7x9 flat tarp. And we can use that
Yeah.
as a glassing tarp during the day. We could set it up as a vestibule at our camp if we want to. And then we could also use it to spike out if if we
Yeah.
catch ourselves out in the middle of, not getting back to camp because we killed, or if we find an area we like and we just want to spend the night there, we've
Yeah.
always got that as backup. And I think it weighs something like 5 ounces. So
Yeah.
that's my sleep system.
Yeah. I got a similar size tarp, is a little heavier, but yeah. So sleep system. So I'm just running for sleeping pad. I got the Calumet Static V. It's a little lighter, not a great R value, but I'm bringing half of my foam fold out
Thermarest?
one as a glassing pad. Yeah. I'm just going to shove that underneath, help bring that up a little.
Perfect.
And then the 20-degree down quilt that I'm borrowing from you.
Yep.
And my pillow I'm running, I just got one of them MEC air pillows. It's like an ounce and a half.
Yeah.
Shove some whatever underneath if I need. And then the my tarp, I got it's a 7x9.5 foot, so it's a little bigger, but it's MEC silicone scout tarp.
Okay.
And it's a bit more. It's about 12 ounces. But
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, we'll be set with both those. We can.
Oh, yeah, between the two.
100%. Okay. I am going to go into clothing and gear worn, and I've added some stuff to this section because I'm thinking of this section as more just everything that's on my body while I'm hiking.
Yeah. Okay.
So for my top base layer, I haven't decided if I'm going to do the Sitka Core lightweight or the Avro hoodie from Stone Glacier. The lightweight is better in hot temps, the Core lightweight from Sitka, but the Stone Glacier Avro is way more comfortable. And because it's a rifle hunt, I'm probably going to go with the Avro because I'm not as concerned about camo And I know everybody
Yeah.
says it doesn't matter if you're wearing camo when you're archery hunting, but psychologically, when I'm
It's a
30
tough one.
yards from an elk, it is real hard for me to not want to be wearing camo.
Yeah.
And so because it's a rifle hunt, I think I'll probably take that Stone Glacier Avro. For boxers, I'm going to bring the Lululemons. I want to make a note to everybody. I've been recommending these boxers for the last 3 years. The last batch I bought, they are disintegrating within like 2 months. So they have made a fundamental change to the material that they're using. I no longer recommend that people buy these boxers. I'm in the process of trying to find another replacement. And as soon as I do, I'll let everybody know.
Yeah.
I'm going to be running the Sitka Ascent pant. On sheep hunts and goat hunts, I prefer a lighter, quicker drying pant. It means you get a little bit more wet when you're brush busting, but it also means that it dries a lot faster. And even in August, man, we could have 30-degree days, no problem. Like it can
Oh
be
yeah. Yeah.
hot. And so I would rather take lighter gear and then be a little bit chillier. I'll bring a
Yeah.
forged in the
You can always do a
backcountry.
little hike if you need to.
Yeah, 100%. Like being hot is never a concern for me.
Mhm.
I'm going to bring a forged snapback for my ball cap. Now, boots. It was funny. We were talking about boots the other day, and I've decided
Yeah.
to do some experimentation. So I have ordered a pair of the Scarpa Charmoz HD and the Rebel HD. I like a really stiff boot, and my really stiff boot is the La Sportiva Nepal
Yeah.
Evo GTX, which is like borders on 5 pounds for a pair. It's a fully insulated, fully crampon compatible. It's like wearing cinder blocks on your feet. Like they're great mountaineering
Yeah.
boots, but they're
Oh
a
yeah.
4-season mountaineering boot. And I thought to
Yeah.
myself, I've never really had a 3-season mountaineering boot. I've always just had 2 boots, my full leathers, which are kind of like my
Yeah.
all-purpose 3-season boot, and then my
Yeah.
mountaineering boots, which I've worn in the summer, but my feet sweat like a pig.
I was
And
gonna say, yeah,
so
you need that not as heavy, but as rigid. Yeah.
exactly. And so I did a ton of research, and the 2 that seem to be the best options are the Charmoz and the Rebel. And I got the Charmoz is a fully synthetic, and I got the leather version of the Rebel. And another reason that I did this is that I've been getting hit up lots for boot reviews. And I honestly believe boots are one of the rare pieces of equipment where reviews don't do you a whole lot of good. You can look at reviews for people's perceptions of stiffness or weather resistance or durability, but like until you start putting boots on, man, like you just have to try them on. So I thought instead what I'm going to do a video series about how to find the perfect hunting boot. Like
Oh
where
yeah.
should you do your research? How should you like first you need to look at, do you want leather? Do you want synthetic? Like what are the different categories? What's
Yeah.
basically the decision matrix that you would walk through to get down to, okay, here's 3 or 4 pairs
Yeah.
that all
Yeah. How
kind
to
of
narrow
tick.
down to what to try on. Yeah.
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 Then once you've got those 3 or 4 pairs, now you got to find something in stock in your size that you can get delivered to wherever you live. That might get you down. It got me down to 2 pairs. That was literally
Yeah.
the reason I ordered these 2 is that they were the only 2 that fit my goals, were in stock in my size. I'm a 14 boot or a 48 in Euro. So finding boots in that size can be rather challenging. And then once you get them, I thought I've never really talked about this either, but as long as you don't take them out of your house, you can keep these things for a week or 2.
Yeah.
And so what I'm actually going to do is just wear them around the house, for a couple hours a day, a couple days in a row, alternating and see like, okay, which one of these fit. So I thought that would be a really
Yeah.
helpful, so people can stay tuned for that. And I also thought it was a bit of a hole in my boot system that I didn't have because I do.
Yeah.
I'm even thinking like early season mule deer. I think you want the same type of boot.
Yeah.
You want that really stiff shank, but warm weather boot that is not
Yeah.
you're not going
Not
to
gonna sweat out real bad.
Yeah.
I also found too is trying the 2 boots, put one on each foot, and you'll
Oh,
really
yeah.
get that. Like which one feels better? Do you got any pinching somewhere, whereas others might not or something?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I think that's a great idea. For socks, I go darn tough over the calf. I like a really tall sock so it doesn't slide down. I also like the compression on the calf. I don't know, it's just made me,
Yeah.
I like it. I use the Arcade stretchy belt. I've got the Black Diamond Alpine Ergo Cork trekking poles. I'll be using the Gators, the Ultra Gators from Ape. And then a watch is a Garmin Phoenix 7X Solar. And then I have a knife that I've started carrying on the shoulder strap of my backpack. It's my custom knife that I had Frontiersman make me. And then
Oh,
that's
yeah.
basically what I got on me for gear and clothing.
Okay, perfect. So for me, I'm running, I'm doing the Sitka long sleeve crew.
Okay.
So similar to lightweight hoodie, just no hood. I'm running on base layers. I run the Hanes Control Flex Fit underwear.
Okay.
I've had pretty good luck with them. Seem to work good,
Are
stand
they a
up good.
cotton or are they like a blend?
They're like a blend.
Okay. So
And
they
they
wick
got,
moisture. Okay.
yeah, not too bad. Yeah.
Okay.
And then I'm running Reebok over calf socks. My feet run hot. So these ones are kind of thinner. So they
Yeah.
breathe
I'm the
not
exact same, man.
terrible.
The
Like,
darn toughs I run, if you pull them, you
yeah,
can see right through them.
yeah,
Like they're
yeah.
almost, you remember back in the day, those like silk sock liners were really popular with everybody. It's almost like that thin. Like, yeah, I like
Yeah.
a nice thin sock.
And then lower, I'm running the Ascent pants as well. Upper mid layer, I'm running the Sitka Apex hoodie.
Okay.
It's first year. I just got them last. Would have been just before Christmas, I think. So I
Okay.
took them out a bit of scouting, some bear hunting so far. It seemed to be good. Mechanics gloves and forged hat. Well, also the arcade stretchy belt. That thing, yeah, I don't know. That's nothing better than that.
Dude, it's the best.
They fit so good. Yeah,
It's perfect.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. It's
yeah.
so funny.
And then boots. So I'm running the Scarpa Kinesis Pro Gore-Tex
Okay.
backcountry or backpacking boot there. They're they're fairly stiff, but they're still the leather boot. But they seem to hold up pretty good. I haven't had them too long, but I got a buddy who actually got them probably 4 seasons ago now, and he's took them on both our sheep hunts and waterproof real good. Never had any issues. Gators. So I got the Spree harsh gravel Gators. I'm gonna try out,
Yeah. I
see how
remember you
they
sending me
stand up.
those.
Yeah, yeah. They were at the Hunt Expo in Edmonton here.
Yeah. I
I
was
was
set up beside them at
already
the
needing
sheep
some,
show.
and I was like,
They've
oh
got
yeah,
Canadian distribution too, so I think I
yeah,
got to review
yeah,
some of their gear because it costs a mint to get gear delivered
yeah.
up here. And I really do think with the globalization and everybody kind of using the same factories everywhere, it wouldn't surprise me
That's
if they're kind of on par with most of the other big guys
yeah,
as far as the
yeah,
quality of the gear goes.
yeah. And I guess they got a good warranty, supposedly
Okay,
too. They're
that
saying.
helps.
It actually kind of trail off a little. I was a volunteer firefighter for 10 years. On the one department I was on, while I was at the trade show, one of the guys working at it is actually a buddy from my old department.
Oh no shit.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He's one of their I can't remember their term,
Like
sponsored guys, but
yeah, okay.
they're yeah. But so where was I here? Trekking pole. So I'm just running aluminum. They're just outbound. They're cheap, but
Yep.
I've had good luck so far. I'm also not putting as much weight onto them.
Yeah.
I'm I was saying, I'm only 165 with pack on, so I'm not putting too hardcore on them. And then I'm running so on me, I got my Garmin on my pack too. I got that
Okay.
through ASIAC there. So yeah.
Nice. Which Garmin do you run? Like do the InReach or
So I
just a basic
just the InReach Mini. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that Mini
Yeah.
is a
I
great
know.
option, man.
Yeah. I always thought about upgrading it since you had your little incident there. It's spooked me out a little bit, but I do have. So I got the Garmin watch. So I always do a pin at the truck. So at
That's
least
the
I
thing.
got
I think
a
as long
backup
as you can
something.
also, if you can just take UTMs or lat longs and you've got a
Mhm,
paper map,
mhm.
like that you can get away with a mini as long as you've got
Yeah.
another device to give, like a
Yeah.
backup device to get you any type of GPS coordinate.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like
And
that
this
mini
different,
a lot.
not fly in, right? So I mean, we just
Yeah,
okay, we got to walk that way for 10 miles. We'll eventually find the road,
totally. Just turn around and go back the way you came.
right? Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, I
Okay,
think
is
that's
that
all
it for you
for
for
on me. Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so clothing packed. I'm bringing the Sitka Ambient hoodie. I think for puffy layer, I'm actually going to bring my Stone Glacier down puffy. I normally always bring a synthetic puffy, but because I've got my synthetic bag, if my puffy got wet, I could always just sleep in my
Yeah.
synthetic quilt. And it is one of those early season, like ounce counting hunts where we're going
Yeah.
up
Yeah.
lots of, it always trips me out when that little thumb thing comes on. So I think I'm going to run the Grumman Puffy instead of the Aerolite. For rain gear, I'm bringing the Sitka Dew Point. I will bring my jacket and pants. It's so light. It's like, who cares?
Yeah. Yeah.
I will say to people, if you don't have the luxury of owning ultralight rain gear, I'm a just bring jacket kind of guy.
Yeah.
I don't really
What's the
care
weight
about,
on them?
dude, I got to look it up. They are next to nothing. Like, I
Oh
think
yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
like 10 ounces ish for the
Okay.
pants, even
Yeah.
less for the jacket. Like, I'm close to a
Yeah.
pound for both of them
Oh yeah. That's
together. So it's like, also, the other reason I bring this is it's my wind layer. So
yeah.
if you put on, well, geez, if I'm wearing the Stone Glacier Avro hoodie with the ambient hoodie over that, the Grumman Puffy over that, and then you put on that jacket, it can get damn near blizzard conditions and you're
Oh
still
yeah.
going to be warm with all that gear on. But if you don't have a layer to cut the wind, I find your puffy layers can only be so, once you get up there in the alpine and it starts ripping pretty
Yeah.
good, your puffy layers only do so much. And so that's the other reason where I don't, the pants to me are an optional. If I get down to the wire and my pack's looking a little bit heavy, I may take out the pants just because I don't think they're
Yeah.
as necessary as the jacket is.
Yeah. I tend to do the rain pant and not puffy pant as kind of that
Right.
extra bottom. Yeah.
Yep. I think that's a great idea as well. Because as soon as you cut down the air circulation, you
Yeah.
retain so much more heat. Now, for insulating layers on the bottom, I will probably bring one of these. I will bring the Arc'teryx Modus AR Long Johns or my Sitka Kelvin Down 3/4 pants. I don't think it's going to be cold enough to need both. And I think more than likely I would bring the Long Johns because it's nicer to sleep in
Yeah.
Long Johns than puffy pants. And like you, if I've got the, if I've got the Dew Point pants and I put those Long Johns, my regular pants and rain pants over that, like I don't see us hitting temps that are colder than that. But again, with those Apex pants those Ascent pants are thin and mornings can be chilly. And so having some type of insulation layer for the bottom, I do think is wise. And then I'm going to run the mechanics gloves as well. And then I bring a Sitka Jetstream beanie. 90% of the time I sleep in it because we're bringing quilts. They don't have hoods. I really like sleeping in a beanie, and it's nice to have on in the morning while you're glassing and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And that Jetstream one's pretty small and pretty light.
Yeah.
That's all I got for packed gear.
Oh, perfect. So for me, I just got so I'm running the 3,300 foot men's lightweight packable insulated puffy. So it's a synthetic as well. It's lighter though. It's again, in size medium, it's only 14 ounces. So it's not bad. Rain gear. So I just got Browning tote and pant. And they're pretty light too. I got them down here. So pants are 8 ounces and the jacket's 12. So yeah, I'm, just over a pound. Yeah.
That's great.
And then I put it down here. I'm not sure if I'll do it the extra pair of socks underwear.
Yeah.
See how that, again, comes down to the pack. We'll see how full she's looking at the end there.
I will say with 10, 12 days, historically, I've done one extra of each. 12 straight days with the same underwear and socks is pretty
That's a bit
intense.
ripe. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but I find two pairs of
Throw them out on the
each.
way home.
Yeah, 100%. Now, the other thing is, being where we are up high, if you knew there was going to be a creek and a nice day, you can always just rinse them out and dry them as well. But then
Yeah.
if you run into a bunch of bad weather, it's like you ain't drying anything out. So
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't want to
No.
count on that.
Yeah.
So I think I'm probably like you. I didn't have it written down here, but I will probably add. Actually, I'm going to do that right now. At least make
Yeah.
myself a note so that I can decide not to take it if I want, but not forget it in case I do
Yeah.
want it.
I was looking at too, is that one little, like, if you happen to blow a sock out, at least you got a backup pair or something. Cause that'd be the worst, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
100%. And it is like
And
a
then,
nice little mental recharge. Like that day six,
Yeah.
man, you put on those fresh socks and underwear. And I don't know, some people like to flip them every day, but I find they're blown out
and they
after
both
one
just
day.
end up,
Yeah,
yeah.
100%. I like that middle of the hunt, little recharge, put on some nice comfy socks and underwear day.
Yeah. Then I also got, so I just got a little Cabela's beanie and my Crocs on here.
Oh shoot.
And then
don't
I got-
my Crocs either.
Oh yeah. And they're just, I just got they're just George brand, just from Walmart.
Yeah.
They seem pretty decent. The other thing I don't have on is my base layer, my long johns. I think that's all. Yeah, that's all for my
Okay.
packed.
Okay, now I'm going to get into basically some optics related stuff. So I'm going to list a whole bunch of stuff here. We're still kind of deciding what we are. People are going to hate listening to this podcast because the amount of glass I have sitting around. People are just like, you piece of shit. Like,
Yeah.
anyways. So currently we have access to a Swaro ATX 85, a Kawa 55, and a Maven 65. Now, we may bring two spotters. We may only bring one. We definitely bring in the ATX 85.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
non-negotiable.
I want to look through that.
Yeah. The negotiable components will be the Kawa or the Maven for a secondary. And then for binoculars, we've got the Swaro NL Pures. I currently have a pair of Sig Zulu 6x16s, the the motion ones
Yeah. Yeah.
that are crazy to look through.
Anti-shake, right?
It's so wild, how stable they are. I'm probably going to have to give them back. I know I should give them back before this hunt, but I got another line on. I could get another replacement pair. And then I also have a pair of Maven B5 15 power binoculars. So where I'm thinking with optics is like two spotters and two pairs of binos when we could be bringing 12s and 15s for binos seems excessive because I don't think you need like a pair of 15s and a spotter each. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
especially when we're looking at the same country.
Yeah.
We could shave two, and we'd always assumed we were going to take two spotters, but when I started writing this list, I was like, this might not make a whole lot of sense. We might be bringing two spotters for no reason, especially if we've got now. If we were only carrying 10s, I think I would feel differently.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, if you got the 15s on a tripod, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And we can always swap back and forth. So I think
I was gonna say you always end up hopping off and going to binos, go to spotters. You just pass her back and forth.
If somebody's on the spotter for an hour and their eyes are burning out,
Yeah.
just switch over. So I think if I was to take a guess right now at what we're going to bring, it would be the ATX 65, the NL Pure 12s, and the Maven 15s. And that'll be our optics setup. And then I have 3 bino harnesses here right now. I've got an Alaskan Guide Creations, and I have 2 others that just got sent for me that I won't mention brand names. I don't know what I'm going to take on the hunt. For the rangefinder, I've got a Leupold RX 1200. I also got a note here to bring some of those Zeiss wipes, the lens,
Yeah.
and then for tripods, I'm going to be bringing the Outdoorsman's Tall Carbon Anegra. That's their new carbon fiber tripod. And then you
Oh,
still need a tripod, right?
yeah.
So I'll send you a list, man. It could be the Tricer, could be the Asiac. Also, here again, I don't think we need two tall tripods. I think it makes
Yeah.
sense to have one tall tripod because sometimes you're in a situation where there's really tall grass, or
Yeah.
just
And you
if you're
have
at
to
the
stand.
bottom looking up, like it really helps to get above. But I don't think from a logistics perspective, it's a necessity to have two tall tripods. So I think we
Yeah.
bring one tall tripod and then save weight with the second tripod. I would probably, the Asiac is my favorite,
Yeah.
simply because now I say this, but Rydell is just about to launch the Asiac front country tripod, and it's
Oh,
the
yeah.
standing version of his backcountry light. And he's supposed to be sending one of those for review. So if I was to guess right now, I would say we're going to bring the Outdoorsman's Tall and then the Asiac tall or short, depending
Yeah.
on the weight of the tall. Like if it's only an extra 6 ounces, I mean, might as well
Yeah. Yeah.
bring
So
it.
try something else.
Yeah.
Try something new out.
And then for digiscoping, I have both the all-in system and the on-glass system. I've ordered them. They're in my they're here. They're in my gear room. I'm gonna do a review on those, and then based on whichever one I like better, that's the system that we'll bring for
Okay.
digiscoping. But that's basically what. Do you got anything to add to optics or yeah?
I don't think so. I guess my rangefinder, I'm running the Vortex Viper 3000 with a note to bring a new battery and then lens wipes and a glassing
Okay,
pad. Yeah.
right.
And then Bino harness, I'm not sure. Because right now, so I'm running the marsupial
Okay.
with the phone pouch, rangefinder pouch, but that's just the small. I think it only goes to 6.5 inches.
This is actually quite
So,
handy because one of these bino harnesses these companies sent me was like massive. I'm like, what am I supposed to use this for? And I just realized now, as soon as you said it, it'll be perfect for the
mm,
15s.
fit the 15s. Yeah.
So if we go to take the 15s, one of us will bring this second. And the other thing with
Okay.
15s, like, do you even really need to have them on your chest? I just like to have them in the harness so
That's
they
fair.
don't
Yeah.
get beat up in your backpack. But I even normally take the harness system off of the chest rig and I literally just leave them in the packed chest rig inside
Oh,
my
yeah.
backpack,
Yeah.
especially if you've got a rangefinder. Like most rangefinders are 6 or 7 power anyways. So if you've
Yeah.
got a little something and you want a
You
closer
got
look,
that
you can
quick.
always
Yeah.
just use. And then if I've got my NL Pure 12s on my chest, if we run into something where we need to quickly glass it, we can
Yeah.
always just chuck those up. Okay, I think that's it for optics. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm going to move on to weapon and camera gear. I'll do weapon first, then you can do weapon, and then I'll do camera gear.
Okay.
So I'm bringing a Fierce CT Rival in 300 PRC with a Leupold VX5 HD Fire Dot Duplex reticle, and that whole system. And then I'm also using a Kafaru gun bearer. That's my favorite
Yeah.
sling system. And then for ammunition, right now my gun is set up with Hornady Precision Hunter 212 grain ELDX, and I normally bring 10 bullets with me on a mountain hunt. Now, the nice thing about my current setup is that my rangefinder, my gun, and my turrets are all matching.
Yeah.
So I can basically do the slope corrected range with the rangefinder, and then that will
Oh, yeah.
actually give me, then I can just dial yardage on my turrets, and my turrets have been chronographed in line with my bullets. So that's the nice part about that system.
Yeah.
However, I did just have the opportunity to do up a hand load with Hammer monolithic copper bullets. So there is a potential, and I think those are coming in at like 185s. And I've heard like the stopping
Yeah.
power of these things is just incredible. Like, and so if I can, I'm not a fan of last minute changes. So if I can get this done in the next like 4 weeks and have a couple months to like shoot it and get used to it, then I'll do it. If I think it's going to be a time crunch, I'm probably just going to leave it alone because I'm like
Yeah.
super confident in this rifle right now. But that would be the only thing to change on my weapon system.
Perfect. So for me, I'm running I got the Tika T3X Lite in 300 Win Mag. I got a 4x16 by 50 mil Nikon Monarch 3. So that's got the BDC lens, but
Okay.
then I got the my yardage and MOA taped to the top, so I can actually run either. I can dial, or if it's a little more rushed, I can just run my dots. And then actually, that's something I added on that not long ago, knowing we are going to be taking tripods with Arca. It was from, I think, Mountain Tactic. It's 2 ounces. It's a rail that goes on the bottom on the front.
Yep.
You actually there's a bolt, the bolt just in front of the magazine, and then your sling stud out. This bolts through them and then has a new sling stud mount on the front.
Okay.
So for the extra 2 ounces, then I can run whatever tripod we have.
And that's just an Arca rail, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
yeah. It's just like, I think it's 6-inch, 7-inch long. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And all the tripod, I didn't talk about pan heads. We'll probably be bringing a combination of Outdoorsman's just sent me their 2nd generation pan head for review. Probably bring that. It's a little heavy, but it's a really, really nice pan head. If we're going to shoot off anything, that would probably be the one to shoot off. And then I think we'll probably bring the Wiser on the second one. Actually, we might bring the Asiac ball head because if we're going to shoot off a tripod, the ball head would be way better. But for glass,
what if we only have one spotter too?
Yeah.
If you only got the one spotter, then it's nice.
And binos, I find binos are nicer on a ball head than a pan head because it's hard to get them to like line up with your face, right?
Yeah.
And I find I like to scan more with binos, whereas with a spotter, I'm like a grid guy. So having the independent pan and tilt functions of the typical pan head is more important to me than with binos. I actually quite like a ball head. So we'll see how we feel about that. Also, like the Wiser pan head is like 6 ounces or 5 ounces. And
yeah.
so to have another one of those kicking around is really not that big of a deal. Okay. Sorry. So continue on with your setup.
So yeah, I'm also running Hunter Precision Hornadies there. 200 grains though. I'm thinking 10 of them as well.
Yeah.
And then I have
I just got to jump in.
Sure.
That was my exact setup that I sold.
It's money.
Dude, I wish I hadn't. Listen, the Fierce CT Rival does not do one single thing that Tika T3X Lite doesn't do. And I think it might
There's
be
probably
like
people that could outshoot it, but I ain't outshooting that.
I can't.
Yeah.
I was shooting 4-inch steel with both these guns set up side by side. I couldn't even tell the difference, man. What's
your weight? Does it come out a little lighter?
Like maybe 2 or 3 ounces. That Tika is here's what I've actually learned. Yeah. The more gun guys I have on the podcast, if anything, the next gun I build is going to be heavier. Yeah.
Because
I think it shoots
that's
better.
Actually part of, that's why I got the 50 mil. So I got the guns light, but then I got the bigger scope, and I come out 8.2 pounds.
And I think I'm 713 or something like that. Yeah. So I'm maybe 4 or 5 ounces.
And that's with my rail.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. And my setup probably cost $4,000 more than yours did. So about $1,000 an ounce is what it cost me.
Sometimes it's worth it. I don't know about that.
It's not. The other thing is I do not like the titanium action. It's sticky. And I've heard that from a lot of people. I don't think all titanium actions are sticky, but mine certainly is. Like it just doesn't you just can't rack rounds
Yeah.
like you can with a stainless steel. And that's another thing where like to save those couple ounces, I just don't know if it's worth it because
Yeah.
it's just not the same experience. It's not the same buttery smooth action
Yeah.
like you get with
And
that
the
Tika.
Tikas are just so tried and true.
So solid, man. And you listen,
Yeah.
if you want to dump, what I should have done is just dumped a couple grand into my Tika because the
Yeah.
platform is there. You know what I mean? You could have
Yeah.
upgraded the stock. You could have put a proof barrel on it. Like for the same
Yeah.
amount of money, I probably
When it,
could have
be,
wound up with a lot more gun.
yeah. Well, because of how popular they are,
Yeah.
it's quite easy to find aftermarket options for them.
Yeah.
That rail that from Mountain Tactical, they basically only make things for Tika.
I think I think
Fairly
they
common.
make the recoil lugs, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I've upgraded. I remember my old Tika. I had to upgrade the recoil lug, and I made it. And I bought a couple other things. I think I bought one of those limb saver recoil pads. Also, that
Oh
was the
yeah.
other thing that I put on the back of my Tika. I think I've ordered stuff from those guys before.
Yeah. And then what else? Oh, so the one I'm keep throwing around, it's kind of like the pack cover, but I got the gun cover. I think I'm gonna bring
Yeah.
it 8 ounces. I'm just if we're
What
getting off
kind of gun
kind of
cover is it?
rain.
Because
So this one's the uh, Revolution Hunting products. So it looks similar to like the Solo Hunter one. So it's the full cover.
right,
So over the end of the barrel
but doesn't
and
have
then
any
over the whole
padding over
gun.
the scope.
No, that's the thing. Is no
See,
padding.
that's what I'm going over more and more, especially when you're kind of doing these death hikes in and you just want to like
Yeah,
strap your rifle to your pack and just beat the shit out of
head
yourself
down.
on the way up. I'm looking at anything that's in line with like the Stealthy Hunter lampers, where it's not so much of a rifle cover as a
Just a
scope
scope
cover, like a
protector.
padded scope
Yeah.
protector, and then it has those two elastic cords, and then it's got like a muzzle protector. Yeah, I'm gonna make a
Yeah.
note about that actually because I
And
might
that's where
have
I'm
a
at
look.
because I have it down here and it's not heavy, but there are things that do a better job. That's the one I keep looking around trying to figure out what I want to run with that.
Yeah, I'm gonna look into that because
Um,
I do remember feeling a little iffy, like I was beating my gun up a little bit more. Oh, the other thing that I notice when I strap it to the side, I'm always like I'm smashing the scope like into the side of a tripod or a Nalgene or
yeah,
something
yeah,
hard on my pack is getting crushed against the scope, and I'm like, I would just feel better if I just had a half an inch of foam wrapped around this thing right now.
and then something too I was thinking kind of related. I haven't tried it yet, so I don't know if it'd work. But using kind of how you used your sitting pad over your bow, I was wondering if a similar
Yeah.
encase it in the sitting
Yeah,
pad.
that would work too because the way it's like those Z pads are folded, you could probably just open it
Yeah,
up
just
and
kind
kind
of
of
fold
stick
it
it around.
into one. Yeah.
Yep, that's not a bad idea.
But yeah, so I'm running on the side with my EXO. It's actually got their new the K4, so it's got the
The rifle
quick
sling.
release flip up top. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, you got any weapon stuff left?
Nope.
Okay. I'm going to get into camera gear. So I'm going to bring a Sony A1 with the Sony hybrid mic. I think I'm going to bring a couple lenses. I normally only bring the 24 to 70 f2.8 G Master 2, but because there's two of us and we can kind of, save some
Yeah.
weight, like if we're only bringing one spotter, it would be
Oh yeah, if we're
really,
only bringing one, I could easily pack a bunch.
yeah, pack a
Yeah.
lens.
Yeah.
And so I may or may not bring my 20 millimeter f1.8. And then I think what I'm really excited to bring is the 70 to 200. That's like the big dog, big white looking lens, crazy mountain landscape shots. Also, I rarely get to chance to film other people. And so being able to use that really long focal length and get shots of you like walking on ridge lines and stuff from like far away with the
Yeah.
big, for everybody listening, if you've ever looked at a guy like Adam Foss, who's kind of famous for these like really imposing mountainscapes where you got like the little dude in front of the huge mountain, the way you do that is by getting far away from somebody and then zooming in with a long focal length, because when you do that, it compresses your foreground and your background. And if you were actually looking at that person, the mountain behind him would look really far away. But when you zoom in with a long focal length, it brings those two objects closer together, and you almost get that surreal, like dude standing in front of the moon type of vibe. So I think I'm gonna pick up that lens in the next week or two, and I think I'm gonna bring it because I just think it would add another layer of cinematography to the film.
Oh, for sure.
And then I'm gonna bring a GoPro with a couple of mounts, an Insta360, and then for batteries, 2 Sony batteries, 2 GoPro batteries, 1 Insta360 battery, SD cards, a handful, and then some extra bags and clips. I've got a padded camera bag for my main camera, so in case it's raining, I can put it in my backpack, or again, for the hike out once you're done filming. But typically I have a thing called a Peak Design clip that fits on my shoulder strap, and I just lock my camera in right here, and that way I've got access to it. Okay, next we're on to like miscellaneous gear. So I'm just going to run through a list of like random shit.
Yeah.
I bring a Thermarest Z light that I've cut in half, just like yourself. I got a Possibles pouch. I'm not going to get into everything that's in there. It's everything from like a couple little fire starters to like a repair kit for a sleeping pad. But I bring lip balm. I think for my knife, I'm going to bring the Argali sawtooth for my processing knife. Brad sent it over for review, and it looks like a super cool knife, so I'm going to bring that. Game bags. I'm interested in your opinion on this. I use the Carnivore, Caribou Gear, Carnivore, High Country Carnivore, whatever they're called. I think I'm only going to bring 3. Like, do you need any more 3 with the goat? I don't think so.
I don't think so. That's what I had down too. Was 3.
Especially if we're bone out. Like, okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to bring a SteriPen with a spare battery. I've got the Garmin 66i, and I've loaded that up with the Backroad Mapbooks SD card, which is awesome because it's like gives you really great mapping detail on the back. For phone, iPhone 15 Pro Max. One of my luxury items is my coffee mug. It's a GSI Microlight 500 ml with like a lockable lid, so I can make up a half a liter of coffee in the morning and just carry it in my, bro.
That one.
Money. That is like, if you said like, what's your go-to luxury item on a hunt? It's that coffee mug. Like,
I think I'd get withdrawal halfway through if I didn't have caffeine anyway.
Yeah.
So,
well, and I like that I don't have to have all my coffee at once. Like I can stop, I can sip it, and then I can hike for a little bit, and I can stop and I can have another sip of coffee. And especially if you're doing those like ridgeline glassing sessions where you're like stopping for 45 minutes glassing, and then it's like, okay, let's just move 500-600 meters down there, you know? Battery banks. Now I've got a 20,000 milliamp hour and a 10,000 milliamp hour. I'll see what you're going to bring, and then maybe that's redundant. I don't know. Those are both Anchors. I'm also going to bring an Anchor 21 watt solar charger. I have had very good luck early season hunting with solar chargers. Like, you can charge the shit out of stuff.
Yeah.
You get a couple of clear days, you could bring everything in camp up to 100% in half a day. It's because you're so high. Like, you're high, there's no clouds, there's nothing. Like, the sun just bakes on those things. For water-related stuff, I'm actually bringing an ultralight Nalgene this year. I never even know those were a thing until I heard somebody talk about them, and then I bought one, and I was like, "Holy shit, it's a Nalgene!"
How light is ultralight?
I should go weigh it. Hang on, I know where I bought it. I bought it off Go Hunt. I bet you I can just Google it.
Because mine's 4 ounces. So
a 1 liter really Nalgene is 4 ounces.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, wait. Maybe I'm reading the wrong line here. Let me double check.
That seems light.
Yeah, 4 ounces. Unless I wrote it in wrong, which is possible. I'd weigh it, but it's full of water right now.
Maybe yours is ultralight because this one I'm looking up says 3.8
So
ounces.
it's actually, yeah. I mean, it feels fairly thin. Like you can squeeze it. It's actually they just threw it in when I bought my gators, but
Oh yeah.
like you can kind of squish the sides, whereas my other
Yeah.
ones
The other
a
ones are
little
like
heavier.
rigid, right? I
Yeah,
think that is
yeah,
one of the ultralight
yeah. This
ones
one's
then
like kind
because
of it's
mine
still
are hard as
rigid,
hell
but
and this
you
new
can
one I
squish it.
got is like squishy.
Oh, okay.
And it's
Yeah.
exactly 3.8 ounces. So I bet you that's exactly.
Okay.
Now that we're on here though, I want to look up like what the weight of an actual Nalgene is because I was surprised at how different it
Yeah,
was.
I think I weighed my other one was like 7. I feel like it was almost half.
Yeah, it says 7 ounces here on Go Hunt. So here's an example where for like they even cost the same amount of money, and you're just saving 3 ounces. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
that's a great place to save three
That's
ounces.
the thing to
Instead of
yeah.
spending $4,000 on a new rifle, you just buy a different Nalgene.
Yeah. And then you're good. You can still run your
Jesus.
heavy rifle. All 4 ounces more.
That's the only water vessel I bring. Other than the thermos, and then I'll bring a 6 light drum light, which is like
Okay.
a 6 liter drum light, which is a bladder from MSR. And
Yeah.
then two things I've got here. I don't think I'm going to bring either, but people had questions about these, so I wanted to leave them as reminders. Mammoth 8mm Cylon static cord, 20 feet. So when I do winter goat hunts, sometimes I bring rope because you never
Yeah.
know. You might have to tie something off. You might have to pull a goat up or let a goat down. I don't think I'll bring it where we're going. But somebody had a question about rope, and what you want to make sure you're buying is static cord. Because if you buy climbing rope has a lot of give and
Stretches. Yeah.
stretch,
Yeah.
and that is not what you want when you're going to be lowering things. Like if you're lowering your pack down, or
Yeah.
it can start bouncing and swaying on you, and shit can get real dangerous real quick. So I just wanted to make a note to people: if you're bringing rope on a hunt for that type of purpose, you want to buy static cord, not climbing rope.
Yeah.
And then Wiggy's waders. I don't think we're going to need them. I don't see a lot of creek crossings.
Yeah.
I actually use these more on elk hunts when I'm like bouncing back and forth across
Yeah.
like medium-sized creeks bordering on rivers because they only weigh 11 ounces. You can wear your boots inside them. They cover you almost to the hips. And on something like this, like a partner hunt, you literally just throw them back and forth. So you don't even need to waste money on 2 pairs. That's what I got for like random bits of gear.
Yeah. Okay. So I got, just gonna mark shit as I go so I don't miss stuff. So for me, I'm running the Sterapen Ultra. So that's the rechargeable one there.
That's that USB rechargeable one, right?
Yeah.
That's the one I
Yeah.
want. That's the better one.
Yeah, I just got it here a few months ago. It looks pretty good. And then my 1 liter Nalgene, and then the same GSI Micro Light coffee mug. So my water, I'm running it's a 6 liter as well. It's a Sea to Summit water cell.
Okay.
So it's kind of it's more square kind of shape almost.
Yep.
So I figure it should fit in that. I got that front stretch on that 6400.
Perfect.
And then kind of some of this is kind of in my randoms there, the possible pouch, needle thread, air mattress patch kit. I just got 3 lighters here because I know I'm going to have them probably.
That's exactly how many I take. I normally have one in my lunch kit, one in my possibles pouch, and one in my first aid kit. And that way, no matter what happens, there's a lighter somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. And then I got first aid kit and tourniquet down. Then I have the, so it's the Big Blue. It's a 28 watt. This one here, solar charger.
Oh, yeah. See, I
tried
think
it a
Big
few
Blue
times now.
is the relabeled anchor.
You can't-
Because, dude, it's the
can't get the
exact
anchor
same
anymore.
form factor as mine. Those little grommets on the back, the shape of it, everything.
And then it opens up.
It's freaking identical to my anchor.
Yeah.
Identical.
and it charges like I've used it a few times just at home, and because what the heck was it? Hour and a half, I think it said for my. I got a Galaxy 23 Ultra.
Yeah. Like a
Yeah, it
full
was like hour and
size
a half or something.
smartphone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Which are
I
about
was looking for it, but
7,000
I'm
milliamp
talking
hours,
on
I
it.
think.
Yeah, yeah. And then so my power bank. So I got that as my charger, and then I'm running so it's a 2700 milliamp power bank.
Okay. 27,000
Um,
probably.
yeah, sorry, did I say 100? Yeah,
Yeah.
27,000.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
and
Yeah, I might
then
even only bring my 20,000 because if you've got one and
yeah,
I've got one, again, like when we were talking about fuel canisters on an earlier
yeah,
conversation, lots of the reasons when I bring two, I'm just by myself. And in case you have a failure with one, it's not like I need 30
yeah,
with the solar charger. It's not like I need 30,000 milliamp hours of cell. If I know if you've got the 27,000, I may, because it's a good, I don't know what it is. It might be a half a pound. Like batteries are heavy. Like
yeah.
that.
It's 12 ounces.
Yeah. So my 10,000 is
So
probably 8 ounces.
mhm.
And so I might leave that one out and just stick with the 20,000.
Yeah, and then so I got two rechargeable headlamps.
Which
One
ones?
again in the back. So I just got the Ozark ones. They're just cheaper,
Yeah.
but I've been running them for like 3 years now, and man, I have no issues.
Perfect.
Bright too,
Yeah.
400 I think lumen.
Yeah. That's
Yeah,
solid.
yeah, yeah. And then just miscellaneous, all my phone charger, inReach charger cords, all that. Bathroom kit. The one I got here with question marks, bug net. How I know you've had some like being up high though. Are we going to need
I
that?
hate them. I don't bring them. I bring bug
I do
dope.
too, but
That
bug
reminds me.
dope maybe. Yeah, okay.
I gotta hang on. I'm gonna make a little note here about bug dope because I did
And
get
then I
them.
got
I brought a
just my
thermocell one
randoms.
year. Do you use a thermocell at home?
Oh yeah, I have one for my wife. She likes it.
Dude, I brought a small one time. And it was a heavy bug gear, and I got to tell you, you couldn't use it all the time because obviously the
Yeah,
canisters, are a bit much. And but getting myself like 2-3 hours at night while I was having my dinner,
yeah.
just like back off and let me
That
get
little
my
calm.
sanity back a little bit. Like
Yeah,
it was worth every single ounce. But I think looking at where we're going, the lack of trees and everything else, I
I figured.
I
I
don't.
figured between probably wind and
Yeah,
altitude, we're probably not going to need it.
no,
I just threw
and
it on because I actually wanted to ask about that. Was
yeah,
my thought. And then I got a little note on stuff at truck here. How many coolers you need for a goat? Probably two.
no. I think one will be fine. Bone
Just
out.
one. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, bone out. Yeah, I know.
I'll bring my big Yeti. I like it. So Yeti
Okay.
110, and that'll be fine. I've fit a whole mule deer in there before. That's no problem.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
And then I just got cook kit and kill kit stuff here. I don't know if you had other things to go through or.
Yeah, I got some more stuff I'll go through, but let's go through your
Okay.
kill kit. What knife are you bringing?
Okay, so my knife. So I'm just running the outdoor edge with that replaceable blades.
Okay.
I've had good luck with them, so I actually got it right here.
It's
Because
kind of
they're not
a
like,
bigger one, right?
yeah, like the Havalons are just the thin blade, right?
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
it's got this rigid part, so you're actually, it to me feels like a fixed blade.
That you
Like I'll
don't
pop
have to
elk
sharpen.
knuckles, yeah, I'll pop elk knuckles with this, and then you just push. There's a detent here, push it, pull your blades out, and like they're just that's your new blade there, right?
That's perfect.
So I just
Do you
run
bring
them.
a
I
fixed
usually
blade as
bring.
well for anything else, or is that the only knife you bring?
I do at home. I always run another fixed blade. On this one, I'm not sure, just weight wise.
Yeah.
Knowing you have knives, I'm not sure. Kind of comes down to that, like
Until I got my custom, I used to not. I would only have, well, sometimes my processing knife is a fixed blade, but I would typically only bring my processing blade with me. But now that I have the second one, I do bring it.
yeah.
And yeah, with both of us, I don't
So,
think it's a necessity.
yeah, my thoughts more emergency situation. Because like
Yeah,
even bringing extra blades is almost pointless. I'll break a whole elk down or a moose and not even
100%.
change it. So
Yeah,
it's more if I guess if it's broke. But even
yeah,
then, it wouldn't be ideal, but you could almost run that as a knife if you were careful
yep.
for the
Yeah, kind of like
latest.
just like you would with a razor blade, like just holding onto the
Yeah,
sling.
exactly.
Yeah, totally.
And then I got so extra blades, game bags. I got the three. So I got marsupial gear game bags
Okay.
that I'll be running, which is actually the same. So um all my kits are marsupial, the stretch ones as well.
Love those little kits. They're some of my
Yeah,
favorites.
yeah.
And I
You can
like that
catch
you can get them in
a ton of
different
shit in there.
colors. I use an
Yeah.
orange one for my possibles kit. And then that way, no matter where it is in my backpack, I can always see it sticking, a little corner of it sticking out. And instead of you
Yeah.
having like, I used to use Kafaru ones. And it was like everything
Oh
was
yeah.
shiny sil nylon. And I'm like, I
Yeah.
didn't even know what was in any of the bags. Also, I find those
Yeah.
marsupial ones keep their shape a lot better. And so for stacking in the
Yeah.
bag or
Yeah.
even like laying out in your tent, like they're just a far more usable like
Way more
shape.
organized and yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I got the same. I think I got 4 or 5 all different colors.
Yeah.
And then I do also have my like the ones that come with the Exo pack, the
Yeah.
like click in ones,
Right.
as kind of a backup if I need more organization. Um Paracord I got down here just as a you know, might have to tie a goat to a mountain so it doesn't slide down.
Yep. Always a good idea.
And then I was probably gonna bring a couple, maybe 3 garbage bags just as multi-use, like could use,
Yep.
keep pack clean or emergency shit, you never know.
What stove are you bringing?
So I'm running the uh which one is it? MSR Pocket Rocket.
Okay.
And then I'll bring I thinking I gotta actually see, actually it just showed up. I got the that Ollie Camp 1 liter. So if I can fit an 8 ounce in that, I'll just put the 8 ounce in that and just bring one fuel canister with that.
Okay. Perfect.
And then I might bring an extra one and leave it at the truck.
Yeah. It
Yeah.
never hurts. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I have got, I'm going to bring the Camp Kinetic TI. It's basically identical to the Pocket Rocket. And then I've got that
Oh yeah.
XTS pot that I just did that video about that's got the extra fins. I'll bring two
I knew as soon
100
as you posted that, I was like, oh, I'm gonna have to buy a new pot. And I just bought this one. I didn't even tell my wife.
That's
I have a
so
brand
funny.
new the GSI one right here. I haven't
Yeah.
even used it because I just bought it. Because I usually typically not backcountry as much or as long. I would run just I got a little 500 or mil one,
Yeah.
and then I would just heat it for my meals. If I need a coffee, I'd just reheat.
Yep.
But my mind, I'm trying to think as efficient. I'm gonna run the 1 liter so I can do the meal and a coffee at once or something.
Yep.
But yeah.
Yeah. That's funny. It's a good pot, man.
Yeah.
I will say
It's
that. I
literally
will
just
bring,
got it today.
so many people message me that. I was like, well, at least it's a
Yeah.
cheap thing this
You
time.
post that, I'm like, fuck.
Because like normally I'm getting you to buy like $400 or $500 shit. And it's
True,
like now
true.
it's like a $40 Amazon pot, you know?
Yeah, I'll take it.
Yeah. I'll probably bring 2 100-gram canisters of fuel. I got a Sea to Summit long handle titanium spoon, a 3 Bic lighters. My main headlamp is the Peaks Backcountry Duo. My backup headlamp, I finally brought that the mini Petzl that was like $40 on Go Hunt. I think it weighs an ounce and a
Yeah.
half. I had extra Go Hunt bucks that were going to expire, so I was like,
Oh yeah.
better buy something with these. Bring my first aid kit, and then I've got toilet paper and wipes. And I
Yeah.
normally break those down into like 2 or 3 kits for the trip. So
Oh yeah.
I'll bring
Keep the one you're using in the lid kind of thing. And
yeah, and then another one
Yeah.
stashed away. And then that way if something gets wet, it doesn't all get ruined. Also, if my wet wipes get left open, I still have like fresh ones somewhere
Yeah.
else. Let's not even talk about food because we're already like way over
Yeah.
an hour
Oh,
and we could
no
spend
worries.
we could spend another half an hour on food. We'll
Yeah.
do a different conversation about food
Sound good.
sometime. Oh, hang on a second. My daughter just texted me. I love that she has an iPad now. Um, give me 1 second. Okay, let's skip it over to the Instagram questions and let's give ourselves 10 more minutes here and then I'll go
Okay.
put my
Yeah,
kid
no
to
worries.
bed.
Can
Okay.
I throw one thing in? I
No,
didn't
please
say,
do.
so I got, yeah, just the spoon. I'm running the MSR long, the
Okay.
alpine long. And then I know you don't want to talk food, but I know you talked to coffee before. I actually found them. They were on Amazon when I bought them. I've seen them at Walmart since. They're the Nescafe Sweet and Creamy.
Okay.
And you get them like, I think they have Prince Vanilla and then just like a double one and stuff. Kind of
Oh,
similar to the
nice.
Starbucks, dude. But
Okay.
yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah,
I got
that's
a
all I
couple
got on
different
my
coffees
list.
I'm going to bring this year, and I've been experimenting with this like flavored keto creamer. So it's just like this high fat
Mm,
powder. Um, it tastes pretty good, and it gives you some extra calories.
nice.
So I got 2 questions here about who's going to shoot first.
I
Um,
would say arm wrestle, but I don't think that's fair.
I'm going to jump in here. So we talked about it, but didn't really talk about it. But Vance lives in Alberta. I live in BC. I am hunter hosting, or it's called accompanying, permit to accompany. I'm bringing Vance into Alberta for this hunt. And so, in my opinion, Vance is up first. I also think there's going to be an opportunity to Vance to host me at some point in the future. And I know the kind of guy he is. And if we're hunting something, I know he's going to put me first before himself as well. Also, I can always go back. I could always, if I don't get a goat, I could always go do a winter hunt for a goat.
Yeah.
And so I want to talk about this specific instance, but I also want to talk about it in principle because I think there's lots of great tactics you can use, like whoever glasses it first, flip a coin, you're up the first day, and then we just rotate days. I think if we were doing something like an archery elk hunt, it might be a little bit different because
Yeah.
it would be kind of
Yeah.
boring to just be the guy who called
To
for a
only
week
call.
straight.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I think on this hunt, other than the guy who actually pulls the trigger, I also feel more of an ownership. Like if you kill a goat, I feel like that's a joint goat because everything, whereas archery elk hunting, it's a little bit different. Like it's very hard to dump an elk with a bow. When you kill that elk, that's kind of, nobody really helped you.
Yeah.
I guess the guy who
Yeah.
called it in, there's an argument to make it there, but I don't feel the same sense of like anxiety that like, oh, I gotta kill something. Like as long as we get back to the truck with one goat, I'm satisfied. If we can do it with 2, that's great. But yeah, because so the other note that I was going to say is I also think I love the whole flip a coin mentality, but I also think it's okay. This is why I'm hoping to develop like longer term hunt partnerships because I think it's okay to say like, listen, you're up this year. Like I know guys who've been hunting as a threesome for sheep for 10 years. And when they go out, it's John's year. And they keep going back until John gets his sheep. Then once, and I'm using a fictional name, John, but then once John gets his sheep, Sam's up. And they go until Sam gets his sheep. And they make sure everybody in their group gets a sheep. And it might take 5 years to put 3 sheep down. But I think developing those kind of relationships and that trust and having a group of guys like, listen, we're just going to go until you get your animal. I don't think that gets talked about nearly as much.
Yeah.
And so yeah, on this hunt, now it's also your call. Like if Vance sees a goat and he's like, nah, it's not really what I'm looking for. And I'm looking at that goat and I'm like, I will shoot that goat. It's basically, he gets first right of refusal. So now that being said, I think we're both kind of after the same caliber of goat. I think that would be more on like a deer or an elk hunt where I was happy with like a meat buck and you were looking more for like a trophy class buck. I think with goat, it's more of like an ethical. I think we're both looking to take a mature billy.
Nice
I'm not
mature
going to
billy,
shoot
for sure.
an immature or a nanny or like that's just, that would not sit well with me. So I don't see a situation, but maybe it's just a character thing. Maybe he's got a broken horn and you're like, I was
Yeah.
kind of hoping for more of a
Yeah.
symmetrical thing. And I'm like, I'm into character. I would shoot that Billy. Maybe something like that happens. But yeah, as far as who's shooting first, Vance is up until he either passes on something or gets the goat he wants. What do you leave behind that you thought was important now that you're more experienced?
Extra clothing as much would probably be where I
Dude,
go
that's a
first.
great answer. Holy shit, that's a great answer.
Because
Having
I know
ex-
my first sheep hunt, I took shit that I never even looked at.
Also, you think it's going to dry. Like people get a
Yeah.
t-shirt wet and so they take it off and they don't realize that t-shirt is never getting
Mhm.
dry now. And you're just going to
Yeah.
be carrying a wet t-shirt with you for the next 4 days. And I
Yeah.
think I'm going to take it off and it gets dry. And you don't realize until you do a few of these mountain hunts, you have to wear your clothes dry. Like I never
Yeah.
take my boots off at night until they're dry. Like
Yeah.
the heat from my foot will force the moisture out of the boot. It's the same thing with my clothes. When I get up to the top of a hike and it's glassing time, the first thing that happens is my puffy goes on. I feel hot. I feel sweaty from the hike. It's the last thing I want to do because it kind of feels a bit claustrophobic. But if I sit down and cool down first, my body doesn't have the energy required to evacuate that moisture. But if I put my puffy coat on and just be slightly uncomfortable for half an hour, all of a sudden I'm bone dry because I was nice and hot and it pushed that moisture out. That's a great answer.
What's your
Extra
thought?
clothes. You know what's funny? I wish I had a better list, but it's like all the little stuff. Like you just start to realize this has been in my pack for 3 hunts and I've never used it. And when you start surgically removing like just little items that you realized you didn't, all of a sudden my pack has probably gotten 3 to 4 pounds lighter every single year.
Oh, yeah.
Like I think my pack was 67 pounds last year. And on my first sheep hunt, my pack was 91 with weapon, which is
That's a big difference.
insane. Like no one should be walking
Yeah.
in with a 91
Yeah.
pound pack.
Because you're walking out with like a
Coming
200
out's
pound pack
okay,
with a sheep
not
on it.
going in. So yeah. Is it harder planning a backcountry hunt or family trip? I'll be honest, planning the backcountry hunt is more fun.
Yeah.
We already talked about boots. We already talked about water filtration. This is an interesting one. Shave weight wherever possible or still bring creature comforts?
It's kind of discretionary to me.
Right?
Depending on like some things, yes, some things, no.
Yeah, like I'll spend an extra $10 on an ultralight Nalgene, but I'll still bring my coffee cup.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think the trick is to acknowledge what you're doing. Because if you don't pay
do it.
attention to those luxury items, it adds up and all of a sudden you're carrying 10 more pounds than you need to.
Yeah.
Like you need to say to yourself, okay,
Yeah,
this
do it
is my thing.
intentional.
I'm bringing a coffee cup because I like hot coffee. So that means I'm not going to bring extra socks and underwear or whatever the other stuff it is. Also, what we're doing is kind of on the upper echelon of weight cutting hunts. Like as soon as you start getting over 10 days, you have to bring so much food, and food's going to be 2 pounds a day, give or take 3 or 4 ounces. And so by the time you get up to 10 days with packaging, you're 25 pounds. And so your margin of error, like if you're on a 3-day bivvy hunt, you just got an extra 20 pounds in your pack because you're not carrying a bunch of food. And so you got to be pretty ruthless on hunts like this. But I do think it's important to, things like a coffee mug, like have your 1 or 2 things that like, listen, this is my luxury item.
Yeah, I think the biggest is to have intent with it and like know you're doing, okay, yeah, this is a creature comfort, but I'm
Yeah.
doing it for this reason. And then where can I shave weight and compromise for it or whatever? Yeah.
Yeah. 100%. Favorite style of knives to carry and why? Why don't you take a stab at this with not just this hunt? What is your preferred type of knives in general when weight's not as much of a concern?
I'm still a toss up. I've had good luck with that outdoor edge.
Yeah.
But I do like the little more rigidness you get with a fixed blade.
Yeah.
Nothing crazy, you're still a 4-inch blade or something. I'm not packing big knives even if I was truck hunting myself.
Yeah.
I always find it a little to kind of work joints easier. You can kind of get in, if you're pulling ribs out and all that stuff. And yeah, I find that to be fairly acceptable.
I think what I like about your outdoor edge is I've always carried like a Havalon or the more wire.
Yeah, they don't have that extra
style.
support.
And it's like I'm 6'1", like I've got big hands, and it's like hard to hold on. Whereas like yours had a full size handle.
Yeah.
And that's what I noticed with that's why I like Bruce Culberson's knives. Like they're a fixed blade, but he has a nice big handle on it. And that sawtooth that Brad made at Argali, same way. Like I'm almost more concerned with the handle than the blade in a lot of ways.
Knife,
Yeah.
Yeah, and this one, like I said, you got the decent handle, still got your little cutout for your thumb, where you're pushing on it. So
yeah.
I mean,
I
it's
think something else that deserves to be said is that like, breaking down a whole elk with a Havalon or with one of those like ultralight, that you're asking a lot of your hands and your knife. It's more like animal dependent than hunt dependent to me. Yeah. And that's the other reason I started carrying the more full size custom one, is so that when I do get into bigger animals, I've got like a little bit more of a comfortable blade in my hand.
Yeah. I do like the sharpness of that. I do bring a sharpener with my fixed blade, but it is never as sharp as like you just throw a brand new blade on it.
Are crazy.
Yeah.
Off topic, but I'm interested. What broadheads? Mike here asks favorite broadheads per species. I don't shoot a broadhead per species. I shoot one broadhead for everything. I've shot iron will for the past 5 years. I've actually just ordered a whole day 6 setup. Their arrows and broadheads.
Oh yeah.
For testing, which is like not really that different from an iron will. Let's be honest.
They look fairly similar.
They are. They're just a different material. What's your favorite broadhead? What are you shooting?
So I'm QAD.
Oh yeah, the Exodus.
The Exodus.
Yes.
So I like the idea on the 2 blades. I personally just kind of like the wearing camo versus solids. I like that 3 blade hole, and I've had great penetration.
Yeah.
And they're sharp as hell.
Those Exodus are crazy sharp. Those are like those Havalon razor blades on the side, man. They are insanely sharp. Also, you don't have to mess around with sharpening. Yeah. And let's be honest.
I get crazy penetration.
The iron wills, like those premium broadheads are getting kind of stupid expensive these days.
These 2, they're still, I think they're 65.
Yeah, for like a 3-pack.
Like they're still not bad. Yeah. Yeah. And they're 1.25 inches cut. Yeah. So they're a little wire, but they're nice slope. I've had great penetration. Never
That's
had
the one
issues.
drawback with the 2 blades is garbage blood trails.
Yeah.
Like no matter what you do.
Well, I think, did you see the moose last year?
Yeah.
Did I show? Yeah. Like you couldn't, there was like a foot wide blood trail going through it.
Yeah.
On that as well, I actually shot my deer, elk, and moose with the same broadhead last year.
Are you serious? The same Exodus?
Yeah.
Did you touch it up at all? Nothing.
It was perfect.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
And that's a $20 broadhead.
Yeah. It's done now. So my whitetail, the doe, I was actually sitting for elk, and it came up behind me at like 11 yards. And I like looked over my shoulder, and it was standing there, and I'm like, wow, you're either going to blow at me or I'm going to shoot you. Either way, you're spooking an elk. So shot her endo in the front, out the back, broadhead perfect. My cow elk, full pass-through broadside. And then the moose, it did kind of die on that one because it was kind of quartered and it had its arm ahead. So I put in behind, and then into the offside shoulder, and she folded the tip over a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
It'll,
figured
it'll, it'll happen.
3 out of 1 ain't bad. Yeah.
That ain't bad,
Yeah.
man. That's a $20 well spent.
Yeah.
Okay, I got to wrap this because the kid, I want to
Yeah,
say,
you bet. No worries.
Waste Dog is asked me a question about pillows. Do you know Wasey? He doesn't even live that far from you, I don't think. Maybe not.
I don't think so, but
He's another pretty classic Alberta guy. He has a question about pillows, and I want to tell everybody I'm not happy with the current pillow situation. So I'm going to invest some more time and energy in trying to find some better solutions for all of us side sleepers, because there are no really good options on the market as of now. So I'm not avoiding this question, but the bottom line is I just don't have an answer for you. So
seems a fairly common. Yeah,
people
there just isn't a good one.
Nope. So we'll do something about that. I hate to wrap this up so quickly because I feel like we could go on for another hour, but maybe what we'll actually do when it gets closer, we could do a round 2. We could go into the food. We could go into some of our final decisions, and maybe we could do like a fitness, like what we've been doing to train. Yeah. I think people would find that particularly interesting. So let's do something like that, kind of late June, early July, and then people might have more kind of prep questions.
Perfect.
All right, brother. Thanks for taking the time. I appreciate it, man. I'm glad we got to do this.
Yeah, you bet.
All right.
Sounds
have
good,
yourself
buddy.
a good night.